Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. This is Alexandra Levine live. We are all in with me, Alexandra Levine. We have a jam-packed 2-hour show tonight. The subject of tonight, recap of President Trump's presidential speech in the halls of Congress Tuesday night and the demise of the Democrat Party. Let's play the first clip.
The tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer. We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender.
And there you have it. That was just one of the main things that President Trump reiterated last night. Getting rid of the DEI hires. Everybody knows that woke, when you have wokeness in your classroom, when you have wokeness in the workforce, it turns everything else to hell. It turns everything to SHI beep. I'm not going to curse on my show, but it's the truth. And I would say the first 30 minutes of the speech was President Trump just laying out the agenda. But of course, the Democrats had to try to have the last word. And we had this horrific congressman. He's 77 years old. He's a Democrat from Texas, Al Green. He stood up in the hall, in the floor of the rotunda in Congress, and he wouldn't sit down, and he was screaming out. We don't even know what he was screaming out. I think he was saying, "You're going to kill Medicaid. You're going to kill Medicare. You're going to kill Social Security," which, of course, President Trump campaigned. He wasn't going to cut Social Security or Medicaid or Medicare. But these stupid Democrats, especially the squad, they had these stupid paddles that said he's going to get rid of Medicaid, get rid of Medicare, get rid of Social Security. Everything he says is false, yada, yada, yada. So Al Green, Representative Al Green from Texas, he kept screaming and screaming. He was holding his cane up. And finally, the Speaker of the House, Speaker Johnson, finally had to tell the congressman the rules of the House and how you cannot be unruly when the president is speaking. And if he continues to be unruly, he was going to get the Sergeant of Arms to remove him. Well, Al Green wouldn't sit down. So again, Speaker Johnson said, Mr. Green, Congressman Green, you need to sit down. You're being unruly. He reread the rules of the House, and Al Green wouldn't be quiet, and Speaker Johnson had to get the Sergeant of Arms to remove Al Green from the rotunda. Let me tell you something. Al Green was paid to do that. Al Green was paid by the socialists, the Marxists, the globalist, communist elitists. He is also bought and paid for by lobbyists and special interests. That's why I can't stand lobbyists on Capitol Hill. I actually am trying to get rid of the lobbyists on Capitol Hill because they are detriments to our nation, and those are the ones that push these hardcore leftists into Congress. It's not the political consultants that are the problem. It is the lobbyists and special interests. And also, the squad was paid to write out the stupid things on their paddles and to cause havoc. But that wasn't enough for the Democrats. Another Congresswoman, Democrat from Texas, Jasmine Crockett, she left halfway through President Trump's speech. She called him a liar, she called him a bitch, and she went on her Facebook page to just spew out horrific things about President Trump and say audacity and just despicable things about President Trump. The audacity and the nerve of this woman. She's a congresswoman. Same thing with Senator Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, all of these socialist Democrats. They have no message. They have no agenda. So what do they have to do? They just have to combat President Trump at every turn and call him a liar and call him the mean orange man and totally just negate every beautiful thing that he's done. They will not acknowledge the wonderful things that he's done in just his 30 days of office. And President Trump even said that last night. He says, I can say all these great things that are happening. I can tell the truth. I can tell the American people about all these beautiful executive orders, and the Democrats will not clap for me. They won't stand for me. It's disgusting and disgraceful how partisan they are, how they won't even work with President Trump, how they're bought and paid to just alienate him, try to take him down, try to impeach him, say horrible things about him. Al Green is trying to push impeachment against him, against President Trump. That man needs to go. That man completely needs to go. And as a result, President Trump retruthed today after Speaker Johnson censored Representative Al Green. He censored him from Congress, which in my opinion is not enough. They need to remove him from Congress permanently. President Trump said, based on the display from the Democrats last night, no Democrat should be reelected. And it will open the door. There it goes. Last night was the complete demise of the Democrat Party. That is 100% correct. No more of these Democrats trying to undermine President Trump. And based on that horrific display last night, no Democrat should be reelected. This should be more of a red wave coming through in 2026. We should have a bigger majority in the House. All of these Democrats need to be primaried out, but they also, if they make it to the primary and they go to the general, they need to be ousted in the general. Republicans need to step up and say, look at what Congressman Al Green did. Look at what Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett did. Look at what Senator Elizabeth Warren did. Look at what Chuck Schumer does, and combat these Democrats. Now, I know some people say, well, they live in very Democrat districts. They're going to be there forever. Not 100% true. Look what President Trump did. He was able to cross the aisle and get a lot of Democrats and independents to vote for him in the general. He even got a lot of Democrats and independents to switch parties to Republican to vote for him in the primary. He's notorious for that. And these are things that we need to look at, especially if you're deciding to run for office. Do not be negative. If you have the message, if you plan it out correctly, and if you are crossing the aisle before you even decide to run, if you're already talking to Democrats and independents, you will win, especially in those liberal seats and liberal districts. We talked about that with my guest a couple nights ago, elected official Tim Fazenbaker in Baltimore County. So again, the disrespect that the Democrats gave to the chamber, to the president, and also, we'll get into it later, the disrespect that the Democrats gave to the guests that were there. They didn't stand up for them. They didn't clap for them. They didn't cheer for them. And we also have another slide I'm going to show about the beauty of the speech of last night. It starts with, I have no words, and we'll bring that up. I have no words to express the sheer awe of what we witnessed this evening. Historic, epic for the ages. The golden age of America has only just begun. That was actually tweeted out by Jerry DeWolf in Maryland. And he's 100% right. It was a beautiful speech last night, and we're going to dissect it through and through this whole 2 hours. But it was historic and it was epic. And all of the accomplishments that President Trump has done in just the first 30 days is no president has ever done this in the history of presidents. I mean, President Trump, the only president he compared himself to was George Washington. He's just like George Washington. President Trump is all about getting our country back on track and moving our country in the right direction. And these Democrats want to move our country in the wrong direction. All they spew out is hate against President Trump. All they spew out is that he's a menace. He's a liar. He's a crook. He's a thief. He's a convicted felon. That's all they can say. They're the thieves. They're the crooked people. And some of them are convicted felons. Look at Adam Shifty Schiff. He wouldn't even acknowledge the new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. And he's the one that has a permanent residence in Maryland. But he's the senator of California? Yet he has residency. His children went to college here. His wife works here. But he is the senator of California. But he has a permanent residency in Potomac, Maryland. A lot of these senators and congressmen, they have other residencies throughout the country. We really need to look into it. How much time are they spending in their state that they're elected in? And how much time are they spending in D.C.? Because if they're spending more than 6 months in D.C., they lose their residency. That's the law. And former Congressman Devin Nunes, who's working with Trump, and Kash Patel, the new FBI director, they have a lot of stuff on Adam Shifty Schiff. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to jail or something happens to him, because I know they're really looking into him, deep into him. Same thing with the squad as well. Congressman Brandon Gill said that we need to remove Congresswoman Ilhan Omar because she believes in Somalia first. She's a DEI hire. She should be going back to Somalia. Strike her citizenship, if her citizenship's even real and legit. We all know she married her brother. Strike her citizenship and have her go back to Somalia because she believes in Somalia first. She said I will stand by my country first and foremost. The squad, the progressive Democrats, are the detriments to our nation. The rhinos are detriments to our nation. But again, you really have to look at the horrible display of the Democrats last night. Again, it's just horrific, horrific how they attack President Trump, how they disrespect him, how they screamed at him, they booed at him, and they didn't applaud him for any of the accomplishments that he's done to better we the people. Now we're going to show you another clip, and maybe you've heard the name Pocahontas, but President Trump called this person out. I'll show the clip.
Media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Well, that's another clip that happened. We're going to go right into Senator Elizabeth Warren. We're going to go right into that clip. And President Trump is right. Thank God we have a new president in the White House. Thank God he's back in there. But we're going to go into the Senator Warren clip, how President Trump called her out.
Has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
And she shook her head yes. There she is right there. Yeah, she shook her head yes, because President Trump is right. That woman would want to keep us going on in that war for years and years and years and years. She loves Zelensky. You know why? Because she's getting a lot of money the more that we're in this war. That woman has millions of dollars for a position that makes less than $400,000 a year. It's crazy. It's crazy, the corruption from this woman. But she keeps getting reelected in Massachusetts. She keeps getting reelected. She keeps getting reelected. She keeps getting reelected. I challenge the Republicans to find somebody who's better, who's stronger, who has the message for we the people, who supports President Trump and his agenda, but someone who also is not afraid to cross the aisle and talk to her Democrat and independent constituencies. Because that is what Republicans have to do in Democrat states, in Democrat districts, to get people to vote our way. Remember what elected official Tim Fazenbaker said last night? He came up with the term, make it your Republican Party. I was actually with him in Baltimore City when we went to that meeting where this black Republican was telling people I'm running for Congress, and he was a black Democrat his entire life. And the people were like, well, wait a minute, you're a black Republican? We can't vote for you because we're Democrats. We're used to voting for black Democrats. So what was the solution? Again, come to our party, make it your Republican Party, and let's come to a consensus. Because at the end of the day, the black Democrats and Christian Democrats, moderate Democrats, there are a lot of things that they agree on with Republicans. You just have to cross the aisle and talk to them. And we saw what Zelensky did in the Oval Office with President Trump. And we see that that man continues to ask people for money. After President Trump kicked him out, he did a whole tour of Europe and got $2.6 billion from the UK, from King Charles and from the UK Prime Minister. These are facts, guys. These are facts. But people like Elizabeth Warren are detriments to our nation, and they're scary people. People like Chuck Schumer, they're evil. People like Bernie Sanders are evil. Evil, evil people. It's really bad. It's really bad that this continues to happen, that these people keep getting reelected over and over and over and over again. Now, another thing I want to turn to is the situation in Israel and the situation in Gaza. As you know, President Trump is the most pro-Israel president we've had in the history of our nation. And Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu said that there has never been a better friend to Israel than President Trump. And I heavily and wholeheartedly agree with him. As you know, President Trump moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It was historic. And he's done a lot of historic things. But he is very upset. He's very upset that not all of the hostages are released from Gaza. We still have Americans that are hostage. We have about 7. 4 are confirmed alive, 3 are confirmed dead. And there's other hostages under Hamas rule as well. And President Trump said, if not all the hostages are released, there will be hell to pay. President Trump doesn't like it when all these hostages come back and there's parades happening in Gaza with Hamas. Hamas is still a big regime. They're not completely annihilated. But I know for a fact, because I talk a lot with people in the IDF and I talk a lot with people in the Israeli Knesset and the Israeli government, that they are doing everything they can behind the scenes to annihilate the enemy. So please don't think that Prime Minister Netanyahu is weak. He is not weak at all. He's stronger than you think he is. And all these people that are dissing him and saying negative things about him, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes unless you are in Israel or unless you are like me and you talk to the Israeli government, the Israeli Knesset, because they do tell me the truth on what's going on over there. But there was a retruth that President Trump put out today. It starts with Shalom Hamas. We're going to put it up right now. Shalom Hamas. So shalom in Hebrew means hello, goodbye, and peace. I'll be honest, I can't really read it, but I can kind of break it down. For the leadership, now is the time. Now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits. Remember, he talked about Mara Gaza, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision, release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. And so basically he's saying that these people are sick. They're sick because they killed innocent babies. They burned babies alive. They beheaded babies. They actually killed pregnant women. They ripped out the unborn child from a pregnant woman and cut off the head of the unborn baby. I mean, I've seen the 47-minute video of what Hamas did to the people. It was horrendous. It was worse than the Holocaust. And they've never lost so much life since the Holocaust. But this is what Trump is saying to Hamas. If you do not release all the hostages, not only will Israel come in and really annihilate you all, I mean, they're going to do that anyway. Again, let me remind my audience, Israel, their mission is to annihilate the enemy once and for all and get rid and release all of the hostages. If you remember, Joe Biden wouldn't rescue any hostages. Other congressmen, such as Corey Mills, had to go in there and rescue hostages. My Governor Ron DeSantis, he went in and rescued hostages. Joe Biden didn't do a darn thing. Neither did former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and all the other people that worked under Joe Biden. They did absolutely nothing. Anthony Blinken is Jewish, by the way. And he had a lot of Jewish people under his cabinet that did nothing. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who's one of the most pro-Israel Secretary of States, he's doing everything he can to bring back the hostages. So is Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Wolkow, who's Jewish, as well as Morgan Ortagus that works under Steve. She's also Jewish. So you got pro-Israel people. Also, Pete Hegseth is one of the most pro-Israel Secretary of Defense we've ever had in the history of our nation. He's spoken at the Republican Jewish Coalition meetings, and they just don't pick anyone from a hat. You have to be pro-Israel to speak at their events. So you got Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz, who's the NSA director. You have Morgan Ortagus, who's Jewish. You have Steve Wilcox, who's Jewish. And then you have and Marco Rubio, I think I already said. So many people that are pro-Jewish, pro-Israel. You got President Trump and there with J.D. Vance. They want this war to end. They want it ended. And the only way the war will end is if Hamas is completely destroyed. Because what happened to the Bibas boys was so heinous and so disgusting. And that touched, I mean, that shook me to my core to hear that those innocent children were literally killed with the bare hands of Hamas. Again, that father has to live with the fact that his beautiful wife and his 2 boys were murdered by these animals, by these terrorists. Hamas is a terrorist organization. And then you have idiots from the squad like Rashida Tlaib, who held up a paddle, and we're actually going to put up a meme of what the paddle really does say, or really should say. I'm the reason Muslim men prefer goats. That's right. She's a disgusting piece of crap. She's an anti-Semite. Her family lives in the West Bank, but they hate Israelis. Her grandmother said, I'm so sick and tired of the Israelis. You know what, Rashida Tlaib? Why don't you go to Iran? Why don't you go hang out with the Taliban? Why don't you go to Gaza and hang out with Hamas? Those are your people. Those are the people you love. You wrapped and draped a Palestinian flag across your body when you got sworn in for Congress. You had the audacity to put a sticker over the country Israel and call it Gaza, or call it Palestine, excuse me, which we all know doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Palestine, by the way. I don't care what anybody says. There's no such thing as Palestine, does not exist. But again, these squad leaders are in the halls of Congress. This is why we need to implement term limits immediately. And this is why we need to do everything we can to primary out these squad leaders, but also have Republicans that are willing to fight and are willing to go across the aisle, to talk to the Muslim community, to talk to Rashida Tlaib's constituents, to talk to Ilhan Omar's Muslim community. If you remember, President Trump had a lot of the Muslim community vote for him. His son-in-law, Tiffany's son, is a Lebanese Christian. Her father is this a billionaire auto guy. And they're all connected with Saudi Arabia and Jordan. You have to go across the aisle. You have to be able to go across the aisle. I also challenge AIPAC. AIPAC did a good job removing 2 baby squad leader Congress people. But they need to do a better job and get rid of the actual squad leaders. AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. They need to primary out these people and get proper people in, moderate Democrats in. But I also challenge AIPAC to work with Republicans. I have not seen AIPAC work with Republicans or push Republican Jews to run for office. That is the challenge. I also challenge any congressman that says that they believe in term limits. Term yourself out. Take your own challenge. If you're a congressman who's been there for 16 to 20 years that said, I don't believe in term limits, then say, I'm retiring now, bye-bye. Give it to some fresh blood. There are people in their 30s and 40s and 50s that would love to be in your position right now. But instead we have congressmen and senators that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s that can't even function. They're falling in the halls of Congress. They got dementia. It makes our country look weak and it makes our country look bad. So again, if you don't like where the country is headed, if you don't like what you saw on Tuesday night, then step up. Step up and call these Democrats out and challenge them. But also I challenge Congress to push term limits, to force term limits. And if you are a congressman or senator that says, I believe in term limits, term limit yourself. That is the only way that we can get anything moving. Again, Tuesday night was a historic night for President Trump. It was epic, as one of the tweets said, or one of the Facebook posts said. But there was also tweets too by people that actually were Zelensky fans that are not Zelensky fans anymore. There were people that were never Trumper fans. Now they're Trump fans. There's independents that were on the fence about President Trump, but they've all come around. They said that speech was a come-together moment. And again, later in the program, we're talking about the beautiful highlights and the guests that President Trump honored. Because there was some emotional moments in there, moments of happiness. But everybody should feel good about Tuesday night. Whether you voted for President Trump or not, our country is going in the right direction, but the Democrat Party is going to kill the direction. That's why we cannot allow them to take back the House of Representatives in 2 years, and we cannot allow them to take back the Senate anytime soon or to take back the presidency anytime soon. We must keep this path going, this agenda going. Coming back right after the break, we'll get into more of President Trump's speech. We'll be right back.
Old home videotapes that you're no longer able to watch? Need them transferred to DVD, Blu-ray, or your smart device? Baltimore Digital offers professional-grade VHS, mini DV, and high 8 digitizing services. We can also convert Super 8mm film too. Baltimore Digital also provides photo restoration services. Visit archive.baltimoredigital.net. Mention code Alexandra for a 10% introductory discount.
And we are back. Coming out right at the gate, we have the first tweet. Must be hard to be a Democrat right now. You have to be against good health, support corruption, support war, oppose free speech, promote big government, support censorship, support gun control, and want open borders. That is correct. If you're a Democrat, you support open borders. If you're a Democrat, you support illegal immigration. If you're a Democrat, they want to take away your guns. If you're a Democrat, they're extremely pro-choice. They want you to have a late-term abortion. They want you to have, they want you to murder your baby after your baby is born, like in some Democrat states, such as Maryland and Minnesota. And also in liberal states, we have crazy governors. Like, remember Governor Tim Walz? He put in a crazy executive order that a 3-year-old can say, I'm a girl, but I really want to be a boy. I want to have transgender surgery without parental consent. And President Trump is getting rid of all of that, by the way, because that is just craziness. And again, the transgender movement is going away. The woke culture is going away. Pete Hegseth is cleaning out the military, and he's recruiting people with merit and people that really love our troops and love to serve under the American flag. He doesn't want people coming in that want to serve under the Ukrainian flag. And again, what I said to my viewers two nights ago, if you have a Facebook profile that says, I stand with Ukraine, I hope that after President Trump's speech Tuesday night that you got rid of that Facebook profile. And to be honest, I think a lot of people did. I actually saw a lot of people switch from the Ukrainian flag to the American flag, so they must have listened to me, or they listened to President Trump. Because if you are an American and you were born and raised in America and you voted for President Trump, you have to stand with the America First agenda, and you must love the American flag. And again, say to the military, thank you for your service. Say to a law enforcement officer, firefighter, first responder, not a cruise person, but anybody that is in FEMA, anyone that is helping we the people, thank them for their service. Thank them for their service. A Marine, it's very, very important. They pride themselves on that. They love to hear that from we the people. And if you are a person that just became a legal citizen of this country, please do the same. Please do the same. They respect that. They love that. It's the respect that we give to our military and to our troops that keeps them going, to know that they have people that love them and support them. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. But again, we have a stupid congressman in Maryland, Congressman Jamie Raskin. He tweeted out, I imagine they will be translating President Trump's speech, and we have that tweet. We'll put that out right now. Yep, I imagine they'll be translating President Trump's speech into Russian, which shouldn't be hard because that was the language it was drafted in. A Moscow spokesperson states the obvious that the Trump-Vance agenda is, quote, largely aligns with the Kremlin. This is a moron. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Congressman Jamie Raskin. He is a total and complete moron. He's a Jewish congressman. I can say this because I'm Jewish. He's hashtag not my Jew, hashtag not a true Jew, hashtag not a real Jew. He's a Jew in name only. He stands with Hamas. He brings care into his office in Congress. He's the congressional congressman in District 8 in Maryland, which is the majority of the section is Montgomery County, where I have a residency in. And let me tell you something, where I live is not safe under Jamie Raskin. It is disgusting. There's so many illegals that live in my county because of Jamie Raskin and because of former Governor Larry Hogan, who implemented and put in illegal Syrian, illegal Afghan, illegal Lebanese refugees in Montgomery County. Those are the people that Thomas Homan, the border czar, and Kristi Noem have come in and taken out. They've actually come into Silver Spring, Maryland, and taken a lot of the illegals out of Montgomery County and thrown them out of here. And that's what it should be. But this moron, Jamie Raskin, he continues to combat President Trump. He continues to combat the border czar, Thomas Homan, and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. He should be removed from office. He should actually be in jail. He should really be in jail because his comments are disgusting. Remember, he was the lead attorney who put up the second impeachment against President Donald Trump. Remember, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. He was the head of it. He loved putting those impeachment papers. He loved doing Nancy Pelosi's bidding. This guy is a real a-hole. And he just, again, the people keep voting for him. He keeps getting voted in year after year after year after year. He needs to be removed from office. He is mentally not with it. But for him to, again, accuse the Trump-Vance agenda of being part of Russia, working with Vladimir Putin behind the scenes, he's the idiot that accused Russia of interfering with our elections in 2016. Same moronic stance. believed and pushed the Steele dossier, which we all know was false. Kash Patel proved that was false. Former Congressman Devin Nunes proved it was false. But they kept pushing it. And that stupid attorney, Hillary Clinton's attorney, the Mark Elias attorney group, which are corrupt mofos, kept pushing this Russian hoax for 3 years. They wouldn't let it go because they wouldn't accept the results of the election in 2016. And this moron, Jamie Raskin, continues not to accept the results of this election of 2024. And I'll be honest, Montgomery County is a hard county. It is, again, one of the biggest counties that has a bunch of illegals that keep voting in our elections. And in the state of Maryland, they don't require photo ID to vote. That's a problem. And I know that President Trump is working on the federal level to make it mandatory for all states to have photo ID and to get rid of all of these ballots, these mail-in ballots. But this needs to, people like this need to go. As I said in my first segment, get rid of Congressman Al Green, get rid of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, get rid of Jamie Raskin, get rid of Senator Van Hollen, who's the senator of Maryland. He's an anti-Semite. Get rid of Bernie Sanders, another anti-Semite. Get rid of the squads that are anti-Semites. Their message and their party is losing. The quote progressive movement is losing. The America First MAGA movement is winning. We are rising. The red wave has come. The red wave will continue. But if we, the people, allow these morons to continue being in office and allow them to get away with their lies and don't put them in handcuffs, they're just going to continue to be detriments to our nation. We can't have a Jamie Raskin as President of the United States. We can't have an Ilhan Omar Rashid Tlaib as the President of the United States. That's why we need term limits. And people are saying, well, Alexandra, it's their freedom of speech. It's their freedom of speech. Yes, they have freedom of speech, but they also spew out hate speech as well. You have to look into the underlying meaning of what they're saying here. They're calling President Trump, Jamie Raskin's calling President Trump a Russian agent again, a Russian spy. That's what Adam Schiff called him, a Russian agent and a Russian spy. And again, it was all proven false. The Mueller investigation was also a hoax. When they put Robert Mueller up in front of the Congress and the Senate, he couldn't answer anything. It's like he had dementia the whole time. Again, hoax. No more hoaxes. We, the American people, are tired of the hoaxes, and we, the American people, want to go back to freedom. We want to go back to liberty. We want to go back to the agenda that President Trump put into place in 2016 and what he's putting into place now. That's why it's so important that we get rid of these Democrats that are going to try to hurt him at every turn. And President Trump looked at the Democrats and he said, we're no longer going to have a weaponization of government here. We're not going to have a weaponization of a political opponent like you tried to do with me. And he looked right at the Democrats and said, it didn't work very well, did it? You tried to get me and it didn't work, did it? And he's 100% correct. Every time they tried to hurt President Trump, put him in jail, didn't work. And all of these indictments that are against him are going away. All these special prosecutors, they're going away. All these cases with Fannie Mae and this crazy woman who accused him of rape, they're all going away. E. Jean Carroll, that's going away. The Stormy Daniels thing that went away, it's all going away because it's all BS. And that's what we all have to remember. That's what we all have to remember, is that the Democrat Party is a party of BS. They're going to say all these things and it's going to sound nice and they're going to say free this, free that. Nothing's free with them. You go to the liberal states where these liberal senators and these liberal governors are governing and they have power. Their state's in demise. The state of Maryland is broke because you have woke socialist Democrats in power. That's what Tim Fazenmaker said last night. You got to start local and go up. That's the only way to win in a Democrat state and in Democratic districts. But I need the people here to have the will to stand up for what they believe in and to combat this. Again, we are going in the right direction. President Trump is going in the right direction for we, the people. And if you're interested in running for office, please give me a call, contact me. But you have to be able to fight. You have to be able to cross the aisle, to talk to opposition, to talk to constituents that are Democrats and independents and bring them to our party and give them the right messaging. Listen to their messaging. Combine a message together that's in sync. That's what Tim Maker is all about. The messaging. You have to have great messaging to get the opposition to come across our aisle. And this is a very special clip that we're going to talk about, and we're going to bring up first. I'm going to have Damon put the video out of a young man named Jason that President Trump was talking about.
Is a senior in high school, a 6-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. Thank you. Jason, you're going to be on the long gray line, Jason.
What a beautiful moment that happened in front of the country and the world. Jason got accepted to West Point. Let me tell you something. West Point is one of the hardest schools to get into. You have to have special recommendations from your congressman, from your senators in order to go. My brother-in-law, he went to West Point. Congressman Wesley Hunt from Texas, he's a graduate of West Point. For that young man to hear that from the President of the United States last night, it made me emotional, but happy for him, emotionally happy for him. Not one Democrat stood up for him. Not one Democrat clapped when that was announced. Not one Democrat said, good job. Not one Democrat came up to him and his mother and said, congratulations. That is the Democrat Party of today. Again, this is one of the best honors to be going to West Point, to get accepted to West Point. And Jason is our future. Maybe he'll be the next Secretary of Defense. Maybe he'll be our next congressman and our next senator. Maybe he'll even be the next President of the United States. You never know. But this was a historic moment for Jason and for his mother. And the Democrat Party didn't think that it was okay to stand for him and clap for him and congratulate him and thank him. No, they abstained because of their hatred for President Trump. They were upset that President Trump announced this beautiful accomplishment to this young man, that this happened under President Trump's watch. I don't remember during any of Joe Biden's speeches him saying, we have someone who's getting accepted to West Point or someone who's graduating from this grade school and that grade school. Everything was very negative with Joe Biden's speech. And even Speaker Johnson said on a hot mic, he said, oh my God, I couldn't even deal with being behind Joe Biden for an hour and a half. It was just a campaign speech. But this is the difference now between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. I have a friend who's a Democrat in Maryland. He's not, I'll be honest, he's not really a Democrat in his heart. He's really a Republican. He was a Republican. He switched to Democrat to run for office in Maryland. But after seeing that despicable display of Democrats, he said to me, you know what, I think I'm just going to change parties back to Republican because of that. He said, I would rather be with a party that stands with me and my principles than be a part of a party that doesn't. He said, I did change parties to run for office in Maryland, but that party really doesn't stand with me. And there was a lot of other of my colleagues and friends last night that said the same thing. A lot of my friends that are independents, they're switching to Republican now because they saw the difference last night between President Trump and the Democrat Party. And I'm glad that President Trump did call out Pocahontas and did call her out for wanting to continue in our wars. Because she just wants us to be the gravy train and continue to give billions and billions of dollars to Zelensky. We've given him $350 billion. What more can we give this man? What more should we give this man? This man won't even come to the table. He won't even sign a ceasefire agreement. Now, after he gets billions of dollars from the UK, from Europe, now he's ready to come to the table. Kissing butt with Trudeau, now he's ready to come to the table. Kissing butt with Macron. Macron says we need to continue funding the war. We should end this war. Yeah. When you get money from your European friends, billions of dollars from European friends, now you're ready to come to the table with the United States. But again, President Trump isn't stupid. He's not stupid, and he's not going to allow Zelensky to have the last word or to have one up on him. No way. No way at all. But this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. And it's so funny. Now the Democrats are calling for a government shutdown. It's so funny. They're the ones that always complain that President Trump wants to shut the government down because he believes in low government. But now they're trying to make President Trump the bad guy. They're saying, no, we want to shut the government down. And we want to shut the government down on President Trump's dime, on his watch, while he's in office. And they're so mad at DOJ for finding the corruption. President Trump again pointed out that we have people that are 100, 150 years old, 200 years old, 300 years old, 340 years old that are still collecting Social Security. And of course, the president got booed on that. They said it was a lie. DOJ discovered it. Elon Musk said, if I find something that's inaccurate, please call me out on it. But so far, everything he's put out is true. Anna Paulina Luna, congresswoman from Florida, she just put out the John F. Kennedy files. Exposed them. They said today they're trying to put out the Epstein files, but they keep getting pushback from different FBIs all across this nation. Kash Patel now has to go from state to state to get them to release the full list. There was reports saying that the list they want to release is not the full list. I knew that. A lot of people knew that too. Of course, they're going to try to cover up who was really with Jeffrey Epstein and really on that island and really on the Lolita Express. Now they're saying that Jeffrey Epstein didn't exist, Ghislaine Maxwell didn't exist, what they did wasn't real by not putting up the real list, by putting up a fake list. Because I'm sure that they were shredding documents as President Trump was taking office or when he won November 5th, going into his transition, going to January 20th. That's what everybody said. We're sure the FBI and the CIA are shredding papers as we speak. But again, my question to my viewers is, do we want to just hang up the towel and say, well, they live in Democratic states, they live in Democratic counties, districts, they're going to win re-election anyway, they're just making noise, it's their freedom of speech? Are we going to stand up and combat this? Are we going to stand up and fight for what we believe in? Are we going to call these lawmakers out and push Border Czar, Thomas Homan, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of DHS Secretary, and Secretary of State, and Attorney General, and FBI Director, and DNI Director? Are we going to push them to really look into these people and look into the people that they work with and get rid of them and remove them from office, but also put them in handcuffs? Again, my challenge to my former Attorney General in Florida, Pam Bondi, who's now the United States Attorney General, I challenge her to sue the state of Maryland, to charge the Governor Wes Moore for going against President Trump and DHS and ICE. I challenge Pam Bondi to charge the Attorney General, Anthony Brown of Maryland, for doing the same thing, and also the Baltimore City Mayor, Brandon Scott. And I also challenge her to charge the one of the Baltimore County Councilman, Itzi Patoka, who also stands with Governor Wes Moore and Brandon Scott in this endeavor to combat President Trump, to support illegals, and to support DEI hires. Brandon Scott and Governor Westmore call themselves DEI leaders, as I said a couple nights ago. These are people that need to go to jail. Anybody that supports this needs to go to jail and be removed from office. Itzi Patoka wants to run for Baltimore County Executive. I don't think he's right for the job. They have other people that are much better. They have a Republican, and we'll talk about her later in the end of the show, that is more fit for this position than he is. And she will follow the rule of law. And she will not combat President Trump. President Trump wants people in positions of power that will support him in his agenda. You have Congressman Johnny Olszewski, who was a former Baltimore County executive, that continues to combat President Trump on every turn. He voted against the Lincoln-Riley Act. And just think about it. Lincoln Riley's parents were there last night. Jocelyn's parents were there last night. And when President Trump talked about the death of Lincoln Riley and the death of Jocelyn, the Democrats did not stand for them. They didn't applaud them. They didn't clap. They didn't cry for them. Nothing. There was no emotion. They didn't even go up to the parents, go up to the family and say, I'm so sorry for your loss. My sincere condolences. No, because they all voted against the Lincoln-Riley Act. Disgusting. They wouldn't even stand for a girl that was raped and horrendously murdered by an illegal immigrant. Both girls were raped and horrendously murdered by illegal immigrants. And this was under Joe Biden's watch. Disgusting. They applaud this. Right now, as we speak, Vice President J.D. Vance is down at the border with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. They're on the border right now. Thomas Homan said we've had the lowest crossings since President Trump has been in office in 25 years. They're cracking down. Remember, President Trump and Thomas Homan said that we're going to crack down the illegal criminals first and then look into other situations. There was actually a situation, I think, with an elected official. Her husband was arrested because he's an illegal immigrant and he was charged for a DUI. He was charged for attempted murder, attempted assault of his wife, and many other heinous crimes that he committed. They arrested his butt. And he'll probably get deported back to his original country. That's what should happen, folks. That's what should happen. But I can't understand why the Democrats would not stand and applaud a young boy, Jason, who probably worked his whole life and probably said to his mom, all I want to do is go to West Point. And he got in. And they couldn't even stand for that. Didn't their parents stand for them when they got accepted to Harvard University, Yale University, Stanford, the big Ivy League schools where they graduated from? Wouldn't they have liked people to stand for them? But they couldn't stand for him. And those parents lost children. As a parent, you never, ever want to lose a child. It is the most horrific thing a parent can go through in their lifetime. All those congressmen and senators, they're parents. Once you lose a child, once you lose anybody, they never come back. Lincoln Riley's parents, Jocelyn's parents have to live with the fact that their daughters are not coming back and that their daughters were murdered by illegals. Illegal criminals that were arrested, released, arrested, released, arrested, released. Went back to their countries, found a way back to America to kill these innocent girls. So horrible that not one Democrat stood for the lives of those girls. The pain that those parents are going to have to suffer for the rest of their lives. It doesn't go away. We could be not celebrating, I want to say that word. We could be memorializing the girls for 14 years and the parents are still shocked, saddened, dismayed, horrified, having nightmares over it. Even though it would be 14 years. And the Democrats would still not stand for them. But we must always memorialize the fallen. Always. And that's what President Trump said last night. We will always remember Lincoln, Hope, Riley, and Jocelyn. They will continue to be in our hearts. That's why it was so important for him to sign the first bill into law, the Lincoln-Riley Act. That was a big campaign promise that he made to the Lincoln-Riley family. Remember, promises made, promises kept. That's President Trump. That will always be President Trump. And again with the hostages. You saw a lot of American Israeli hostages. You saw a lot of other hostages from Israel. He brought them into the Oval Office yesterday. And they described to him what happened. President Trump saw clips of the 47-minute video of what Hamas did to the 1,200 innocent lives that were murdered, burned, tortured, and raped. It's very, very important that we remember these lives, the Bibas family, other people that were murdered on October 7th. We continue to memorialize the fallen, but also we continue to listen to the hostages' stories and to speak to the victims' families. And again, there's victims' families that are hoping and praying that their sons or daughters or their grandmothers will come back alive. That the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF Shin Bet, is doing everything they can to bring their family members back alive. And also their family members that have died. They want to bury them properly. They don't want them buried in Gaza. They want them buried in Israel. But these are important things, guys. These are important things that we need to think about going forward, and who we're going to vote for and who we want in office. Again, I can't press it enough. Term limits, term limits, term limits. It is so important that we have term limits. I know it's a task that will be hard to accomplish, but I believe that if all of us get together, if there's enough noise, like Tim Fazenmaker said a couple nights ago, if we all just continuously flood congressmen and senators' mailboxes and the president's mailboxes and the cabinet's mailboxes with things that we the people voted for and we the people want, it eventually makes noise, and eventually things get done, and eventually our prayers are answered. But again, the Democrat Party did not stand for Jason. They didn't stand for Lincoln Riley, and they didn't stand for Jocelyn. Coming up after the break, we have a repeat guest, my friend Philip Hamilton. He is the secretary of the Albemarle County Republican Committee and also the owner of Hamilton Legal Services, LLC. And he'll be right with us after the break.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Levine. I'm a professional opera singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Elena, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
And that is our special guest, Philip Hamilton. Oh my God, I couldn't say his name. He is the secretary of the Albemarle County Republican Committee. He is the owner of Hamilton Legal Services, LLC. And he's a repeated guest here on my show. And he lives in Virginia. And we're going to talk Virginia politics with him. And also, we're going to talk about what his thoughts were on President Trump's speech. And Damon's going to let me know when we're ready to pull him up. So we're waiting for Mr. Hamilton. So while we're waiting for him, the previous commercial, I'm a political consultant. I own my own political consulting firm. LevineConsulting.com is my website. I was actually the political consultant for Philip Hamilton. I'm currently the political consultant for elected officials Tim Fazenbaker and many others nationwide. I'm a nationwide political consulting firm. And this is my 2nd year anniversary being a political consultant. I was a campaign manager for 5 years, learning the ins and outs of the political world, and decided to take my expertise into not only working for one individual, but working for multiple. So we're going to actually cut out of Phil until he can get his picture back up. Maybe we can mute him a little bit or kind of phase him out. There we go. While he gets his picture back. Definitely, Philip, log out and log back in, and that would be great. And hopefully we can get you back on. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties, folks, but we'll get Philip back on, and it'll be great. But anyway, as I was saying, so I was a campaign manager for 5 years, decided to become a political consultant because I wanted not just to work for one campaign, but to work with multiple campaigns. I mostly work on the state and federal level, but I am working on local races as well. I actually helped work on school board races in Washington County and Frederick County. I helped with the Hagerstown City Council. My friend Sean Flaherty is the only Republican on the Hagerstown City Council. We interviewed him at CPAC. And also the mayor of Hagerstown is a Republican. He was actually, there was a Democrat before him, Tanisha, who was horrible. And then he comes in. So there's really a Republican mayor in Hagerstown. And then my friend Sean Flaherty, who's the only Republican on the Hagerstown City Council. So that is what is happening, going on across the country. So again, I work on all different levels. I work with Democrats. I need to rephrase that. I do not work with Democrats. I work in districts that have had Democrats, that have switched aisles, that have switched parties, that become Republicans. And I have worked with a lot of Republican moderates as well. But my consulting firm is only people that believe in the America First agenda, that believe in the MAGA movement, that support President Trump, that want to push his agenda forward. And we honestly do, and we said this with Tim a couple nights ago, is there are a lot of moderate Democrats that are actually better than the rhinos of this country. There are. Because you can talk to them and you can get them across the aisle. Again, President Trump reached out to moderate Democrats. He reached out to independents. He reached out to people of different faiths, such as Jewish people. He reached out to the Black community, the gay community, the trans community, who not necessarily, they don't always vote Republican, but he reached out to them in the general. He even reached out to them during the primary. He's been campaigning for 4 years before. And he said, what do you have to lose? And as a result, they crossed his aisle. They totally crossed his aisle. And as a result, President Trump won the entire Rust Belt. So it's very important. It's very important that if you live in a Democratic district, Democratic state, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to cross that aisle. Don't be afraid. Because if you want to win, you got to say to the opposition, what do you have to lose? I also work with the Jexit organization, #Jexit Inc. The spokesperson is Siggy Flicker. The founder and president is my good friend Michelle Lebed-Terrace. We have been astronomical in getting Jewish people to literally hashtag Jexit the Democrat Party, never look back. And Siggy Flicker is very close to President Trump. She's a member of Mar-a-Lago, but she has the president's ear in regards to Israel and in regards to Jewish affairs. So does the whole Jexit movement and the whole Jexit organization. We're very close with President Trump. And we love the fact that he picked Mike Huckabee to be the Israeli ambassador. It is very, very important that we have a very good ambassador who supports Israel. Mike Huckabee's been to Israel for 30 plus years. And, you know, it's very important, again, that we have this. We are still waiting for Mr. Hamilton. We're having some video issues with him. If we can't get a picture, what we'll do is we'll just put the picture up of him, and then we can have him on audio. Is that working? Is the audio working, Phil?
Well, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm so sorry we couldn't get your picture up. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me. I can hear you. No sound. I think maybe you should log in and log back out again. Yeah, Damon said to do that. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Again, as I said, we are working with a new system. We've been using StreamYard forever. We have switched to Restream. The reason we switched to Restream is because you can stream a lot more. You can stream a plethora of different media outlets, such as, you know, YouTube, Rumble, True Social, etc. And like I said, if people like our guests have not used Restream in the past, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging the first time. I know when I first used Restream, it was challenging for me a little bit. But unfortunately, the audio keeps coming in and out. So again, both of us are working with this new software at the same time. Again, we're using StreamYard, but we found out that Restream is much better. And by doing that, that has actually helped. It's given us a lot more viewership. We actually doubled our viewership. Thanks again for Tuesday night. We have had a plethora of support. We had 20,000 people that supported our America's Pulse Live Twitter, and we had 20,000 views for people to follow our Twitter page, and we did phenomenally well. I mean, combined with me and Tim on Tuesday night, we had thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers and thousands of replays. So thank you all for that. Thank you all for that. Phil, I just want to say, can you hear me now? No, he can't hear me. Is there a way, Damon, that he can call your phone and then you can put the phone up to speaker and have him on? Can we try that route? I'm so sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. But I'll talk a little bit about what's going on in Virginia. So in Virginia, we have a governor's race right now. As you know, Mr. Youngkin is termed out right now.
Hey. Oh. Yeah, well, it's unfortunate we're having these difficult.
We can hear you guys. I can hear you.
I can try one more time on my phone because I've been doing it from my iPad.
Go ahead, because we're hearing you on live.
Okay.
No, we're live, guys, so you can mute yourselves, and then when you guys get that fixed, then there we go. Yeah, so Phil is going to call Damon, and then Damon's going to prompt him up. Again, sorry about the technical difficulties. Thank you guys so much. Again, thank you. Thank you for our show. You know, Tuesday night, again, we had 20,000 people that viewed our Twitter page. We had thousands of people combined with myself and Mr. Fazenbaker that retweeted us, replayed us, resaw us. I actually put out just the edited version of Tim and I on our interview. We had a beautiful 30-minute interview talking about Fort Howard, Maryland, talking about the Council-Matic district going from 7 to 9, how it's going to affect his area, how it will affect the whole Baltimore County, how Fort Howard is unfortunately getting Section 8 housing next to a VA hospital, and how we're taking it to the federal level. Do we have Mr. Hamilton on the line now? So again, as we're still waiting for Philip, I'm going to talk again. Oh, I see a picture coming up. Again, if not, he can just call in. But again, what's going on in Virginia? They're having a governor's race right now. Winsome Sears is a lieutenant governor trying to run for governor. People say she is the hardcore front runner, but then she's got a bunch of challengers. A lot of people say that Winsome Sears is not a hardcore Trump supporter. She's combated Trump. She's a never Trumper. She didn't help President Trump win the state of Virginia. I personally thought he was going to win the state of Virginia. I went to the rally for Virginia for Women. Philip was there with me. There was tons and tons of people. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik was the main guest, the main speaker for the show. I mean, not for the show, I'm sorry, for the rally. And she even said, I think Virginia is going to win for Trump. I mean, there was so much enthusiasm for President Trump in Virginia, and the early voting in Virginia for Trump was amazing. So the fact that he squeaked, that he didn't win it, I mean, he didn't lose it by a lot, was it was sad. But he was able to include Mr. Hung Chau, who was running for senator against Tim Kaine. He is including him in his administration somehow. And the issue is there's a lot of federal workers that live in Virginia. And as you know, with DOJ, he's going in there and he's firing the federal workers that don't want to go to work, that want to stay at home, that were DEI hires, that are not there based on merit. As I said a couple nights ago, people are like freaking out about getting fired. If you have merit, if you've done your job, if you're not a DEI hire, if you have not bashed President Trump or the vice president, you'll be fine. It's really only people that are incompetent that are getting fired. It's not just, Are we? Do we have you, Phil? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Yeah, we have 2 black boxes, though. Can we remove the black box? Oh, hello? You there? Say something, Phil. Are you there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the
Oh, you're cutting out again. Are you with Damon right now? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Oh, the audio is out. Damon, can he call you and you can put him on speaker and have him on? That's the only other option. No, we can't do that. Okay. Well, those gentlemen are going to figure it out. Again, I'm so sorry we are having technical difficulties. As I said before, we are using a new streamline. We're using Restream instead of StreamYard. And again, the phones are not connecting properly. And we are so sorry for that. Usually I can tell you for a fact that we handle these things before we go on live. I can tell you that Damon and Mr. Hamilton, they met an hour before the show to make sure that none of these kinks would happen. But sometimes when we go live, anything can happen. I had issues a couple nights ago with the videos. So we're just going to keep on rolling. And, it happens. As I said, this is a new software. It's a beautiful software. I love the software. But when somebody else has never used the software before, it can be kind of difficult for that other person on the other side. As I said, we were using StreamYard a couple nights ago. There were some difficulties with sound. There were some difficulties with the videos the minute we went live. So we're just, like I said, we're just going to continue on. So going back to what I was saying, again, as we're waiting for Philip Hamilton, I'm going to go into the next segment. So we were talking earlier about the Democrats not standing up for Jason, for Lincoln Riley, for Jocelyn, not standing up for a police officer's wife. There was a police officer that died by an illegal criminal, and President Trump said, I've signed into executive order that anybody that murders a police officer is going directly to jail. And he said, I'm going to push that executive order to the House of Representatives, to the Senate, so we can sign that bill. Anybody that murders a police officer, not only goes to jail, but gets the death penalty, which I wholeheartedly believe and agree with him on that. You murder an innocent cop, you should get the death penalty. It's disgusting. And I felt for that poor woman because she doesn't have a husband to go home to. Again, she's going to feel it. The year anniversary, the second year anniversary, the 10th year anniversary. She'll have people around her say, why don't you go and date other men? You need to move on. You don't move on from that. And nobody should pressure her to move on. Nobody should pressure her to date other men. The woman is mourning her husband. The woman can mourn her husband for as long as she wants. But we, the people, are here for her. I was there for her. I almost cried on live when we were live when they announced that. I felt so bad for her. But again, President Trump, he said that it will never happen again because of what happened to that woman's husband. And if you murder a cop innocently, you go not only to jail, you get the death penalty. So this young boy has been an inspiration to all of us. And we're going to play the clip. The boy is named DJ, and we're going to play the video with him and President Trump last night.
Gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. Thank you, DJ.
Let me tell you, that was the most touching moment from the whole speech. This young man, this 13-year-old boy, DJ Daniels, is now a United States Secret Service agent after he was diagnosed with brain cancer and told he only had 5 months left to live. He has become such an inspiration to so many young men and women out there. What he has had to overcome for this moment. And let me tell you something, I know grown, I'm going to say ass men, grown men like Paul Bunyan men, very alpha male, very tough men, strong men, very, men that are kind of demanding to their wives and their girlfriends. They were crying last night. They were shedding tears because this was such a beautiful and emotional moment. Out of all of the Democrats that stood up for him, we found only one did. Only one Democrat stood up for that boy. Disgusting and despicable. And we actually, I'm going to have Damon pull up the slide. They didn't stand for the boy. Let's pull it up. They didn't stand for the boy with cancer. They didn't stand for the family of a little girl who was murdered. That was Lincoln Riley. They personally do not stand for anything. That's about the Democrats. And we're also going to put up the slide when you can't even stand. Let's see that slide. When you can't even stand and cheer for a courageous boy who's fought cancer for 6 years, you have lost your soul. Now, I personally put out that meme on X. I got 150,000 views. In addition to the retweets that I got, but 150,000 people viewed that meme. And they all agreed with me. And I put on Facebook too, and I had like 500 people on one group on Facebook and thousands of people on Facebook comment about how the Democrats had no soul for not even standing up for that young boy. That, again, is an example of how the Democrat Party is going down the toilet and their demise. By not even standing for a 6-year-old boy with brain cancer who was told he may only have 5 months left to live. And now he's a United States Secret Service agent. The head of the Secret Service gave him his badge on Tuesday night. And he actually, DJ and his father and the entire family went into the Oval Office yesterday. So it's really disgusting. It's really disgusting what the Democrat Party did. How this young boy didn't know if he was going to live or die. And now he has the chance to really live his life by being a Secret Service agent. He wasn't expecting that to happen. That was completely unexpected. And for President Trump to announce that beautiful accomplishment. Again, the Democrats did not want to give President Trump any accolades for that. Only one Democrat stood up. Only one. Disgusting, despicable. And remember, you had Democrats that left in the middle of his speech. So they didn't even get to witness that beautiful moment. They didn't care. They didn't want to. The squad members holding up the paddles, they wouldn't get off their butts to applaud a young man who survived brain cancer. God forbid they stood up. God forbid they acknowledged this. That's what we're dealing with at the Democrat Party. That alone should tell you not to vote for a Democrat. That alone should tell you to leave, #Jexit the Democrat Party, and never look back. Never look back. And I'm going to show a clip right now of it's a video of the guests thanking the president for having them there. Let's show the clip. I'm back. Well, we'll flip to this then. The first results from the CNN Instant Poll of speech viewers showed that the president got a very positive speech, 44%, somewhat positive 25%, and negative 31%. That's what happened. It shows you how the American people are thinking and feeling. The American people loved President Trump's speech. But I want to show that clip of the video of the guests thanking the president because it's so important to see how the people love President Trump. So let's pull up that clip when we can. We had the clip. I guess we don't have it anymore. So we're not showing that clip. So the clip was very beautiful because it was a thank you to President Trump by all of his honored guests. Lincoln Riley's family, Jocelyn's family, DJ's family.
Dear President Trump.
Dear President Trump.
Dear President Trump.
Dear President.
President Trump.
Mr. President.
I would like to thank President Trump because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
To President Trump, I just want to thank you for taking the steps to protect vulnerable children like my daughter. And on behalf of all parents, I want to thank you for giving us hope.
President Trump, thank you for what you've done for America. Thank you for putting America first and doing the things that you promised to continue to ensure the manufacturing vibrancy of the steel industry.
Thank you, President Trump, for giving me this opportunity to be a light for foster care community and the adoption community.
We thank you for saving our jobs. I have my job back because of you.
Anyway,
genuinely, it means the absolute world to me and every other female athlete and just female in general, because you have just absolutely been a champion and stood up for us and fought for us and have listened to us.
Thank you for honoring Jonathan, for continuing his story, for representing law enforcement.
I just want to thank you for everything that you've done since my husband passed at the rally. You've been so wonderful to my family, and I'm so grateful.
I want to thank you for making sure this country does not forget my dad and the sacrifice he made. Thank you for all the support.
I just want to thank you for involving our family. It's meant more than you could probably ever imagine.
I want to thank you very much for the things that you have done and that are doing for the American people to bring things back to America, America first.
Thank you to the First Lady and Mr. President for giving me an opportunity to share my story and ensure that no one has to go through this nightmare. Thank you for being a champion of America's youth.
We want to thank you for everything you've done for us, to giving us the means to do our jobs correctly. And because of you, we're keeping the border much safer than it was before.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to tonight at the address, and thank you so much.
From the bottom of my absolute heart and my family's heart, we truly appreciate everything that you've done for us, and it means absolutely the world to bring justice to my daughter, to Jocelyn, and to every other family to not have to go through what we're going through. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything.
And that was it. We finally got the clip working, guys. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, that was right before the address. All the guests thanking President Trump for bringing them on. And it was just such a beautiful moment. I think we have Mr. Hamilton, and he'll be ready to go. We're going to bring him up in 5 minutes. We're going to take a quick break, make sure that everything is working, everything's functioning. We are so sorry for the technical issues tonight. Again, this will not happen again. And because we're going to get all the kinks removed before the next show. But hopefully everything will work out coming up at 9:30, and we will be right back after the break.
The America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Elena, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did.
And we are back with our special guest, Philip Hamilton. He's the secretary of the Albemarle County Republican Committee and the author of Hamilton Legal Services, LLC. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. We're good.
Yes. Oh, thank God. Oh, my God. It only took a half hour. No, we're good.
That's right. Yeah, we got the kinks figured out.
Sorry. Thank you for bearing with us again. It is a new software, and we thank you so much, and thank you for sticking with us.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So again, Philip, so you're a repeated guest on my show. You've done such great work, since the last time we talked. Please tell us right now, currently, what you're doing in Albemarle, and tell us, or tell my audience, the current things that are happening in regards to the governor's race.
Sure. Well, I've been elected to serve as the secretary of the Albemarle County Republican Committee, which I've been serving in that capacity since March of last year, and it's for a 2-year term. So I'll be running for re-election next year for that position. And we are working hard in Albemarle County and in every other county in Virginia to get a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general elected in the state. And as many know, every year there's an important election going on. So this year we have all of the House of Delegates up for election, in addition to governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. And we technically have 4 candidates for running for the Republican nomination in Virginia. Now, the first one to announce was Merrill Rutledge. And he announced, I believe it was back in 2023. And I saw him at an event with Riley Gaines in Fredericksburg. But he ran in 2021. And the issue was that he did not raise enough money to pay the $15,000 filing fee that was required to the Republican Party of Virginia. I am presuming he's going to have the same issue this time, so he will not qualify to be in the June 20th primary. Now, we have Winsome Sears, our current lieutenant governor. She was the second to announce, and she is the strongest out of all of the remaining candidates, and she's expected to get the nomination, but we will see, because we have 2 additional folks who announced last week, which was Dave LaRock, who served in the House of Delegates from 2014 to 2024. Interestingly enough, he actually ran as an independent in Senate District 1 because he was trying to move up to Virginia Senate in 2023, which was the same year I was running against Craig Deeds. But he lost that nomination. There were 7 Republicans who were running. The conservative vote was split many ways, so that worked to his disadvantage. So he's currently out of office. We also have Senator Amanda Chase, who was run against by Glenn Sturtevant, who won in a primary against her 2 years ago. So she is also out of office as well. But she too, just like Merrill Rutledge, ran for Virginia governor in 2021 and was one of the top folks. But she did not make the cut because obviously we have Glenn Youngkin as our governor. And so that's what we're dealing with now at this time. And it'd be interesting to see who Donald Trump decides to endorse, or if he doesn't decide to endorse. I mean, we'll see what happens. But many folks have brought up the fact, how our front runner, Winsome Sears, has said in the past that we need to move on from Donald Trump in 2022. And there's a lot of folks who are, true Donald Trump supporters, who are MAGA supporters, who are not happy about the fact that she said that. And, even after Donald Trump was nearly assassinated multiple times last year, she did not endorse him. She waited till October of 2024, so just weeks before Election Day, to endorse him. And when I was there with Donald Trump in Salem, Virginia, November of last year, just less than a week before Election Day, he thanked Winsome Sears for her endorsement. But many felt that it was too late. So, they appreciated that what she did, but it was too late in the game. She should have endorsed him earlier. Certainly, when he became the Republican nominee, he should have gotten that endorsement from her. So there's arguments back and forth on who should represent the Commonwealth of Virginia. Some folks are wanting more conservative folks like Amanda Chase or Winsome Sears, and some people think because Winsome Sears is currently in office, she's the strongest. So the voters will decide June of this year which one of those three wins.
I mean, it's going to be a very tough race, but I can tell you a lot of people are criticizing Winsome Sears for not being a hardcore Trump supporter. Some people have even called her a never Trumper. And again, that's going to determine the direction of Virginia, because unfortunately your governor did not deliver for President Trump in the state of Virginia. I was very hopeful that he was going to win the state of Virginia. But as you know, you have a lot of federal workers that live, especially in Northern Virginia. And those are actually the federal workers that Doge is looking into to possibly fire, because a lot of those people do not have the best interests of the president in heart. A lot of those people have written on their Twitter and their Facebook posts negative things about President Trump. And a lot of those people choose not to come to the office to work. They want to work remotely. A lot of those people are also DEI hires, which President Trump has said, no more DEI hires. So I think as President Trump and Doge start to fire a lot of those federal employees, I think you're going to see a lot more people from the private sector that are going to be going to those federal jobs, people that believe in America first, but also President Trump campaigned on lower government. So I think by him reducing those federal workers in Virginia, I think it will help President Trump in the future to, in 4 years, or whoever the next Republican is, to obtain the state of Virginia. And also, hopefully we can, flip back the House delegation back to Republican. Hopefully we can get that red trifecta that we need in the state. What say you about that?
Well, there's plenty to say about that, actually. I think the primary reason why we have former Senator Amanda Chase and former Delegate Dave LaRock running against Winsome Sears is not only the Trump endorsement issue and her being labeled as a never Trumper, because you even look at Dave LaRock's campaign literature and it says never Trumper Winsome Sears, and he's running on that. But another issue is that Governor Youngkin announced that he's going to have a taxpayer-funded program to help federal workers who have been fired by the Trump administration. And a lot of these folks are, there's going to be some Republicans who are getting fired. They're not all Democrats, but I think the majority of the people who are being fired are certainly going to be Democrats who are holdouts from the Biden administration. And especially folks from like the NIH who supported Dr. Anthony Fauci, and many others in the military who are, supporting DEI in the military and things of that nature. We should be keeping these people in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I think they should leave. They should go to Maryland. They should go to other states, so that way Virginia has a
Massachusetts.
chance.
Send them to Massachusetts.
Yes, even better. Yeah.
We want to get them out of Maryland too.
That's right. So yeah, let's send them further up north or further out west to California. That's the better option. Exactly. But I think it's idiotic to have our governor who's working really against the Republican and MAGA movement of the Commonwealth of Virginia by retaining these Democrat voters in our state. We want them to leave so that we have a chance of holding the line and having the top three highest offices. And I think Trump sees that by firing all these federal workers, that will change the political demographics in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And because Winsome is lieutenant governor, that means she supports this measure. And there are a lot of folks who are not happy about that. And that's also another thing that's working against her in this race. And I spoke to Steve Bannon. This was after I was at CPAC, and I saw a live episode of The War Room, and I went to his event. It was called the Brunch of America, which is a pun on the Gulf of America, which Trump signed in via executive order. But I had a few minutes to speak with Steve Bannon. I actually thanked him for donating money to Kim Shorts. It was a friend of mine. She died of cancer. And this was on January 5th. So before Trump got sworn in, she lost her life to lung cancer. And Steve Bannon knew her. He paid for the entire funeral. He paid for cremation. It was a very generous thing for Steve Bannon to do. But after we discussed that, I asked him, well, so what do you think about the Virginia governor's race? Do you think Trump's going to make an endorsement? And this was after Dave LaRock had announced. And I asked him, would you be willing to have him on the War Room? Would you be willing to talk to Donald Trump about potentially endorsing Dave LaRock? And Steve Bannon said he didn't know enough about him at the time to make that type of determination. So hopefully, we'll have some follow-up conversations with him and see if we can put some pressure. Because I do think Donald Trump should strongly consider giving Dave LaRock an endorsement. There's going to be some who are going to be pushing for Amanda Chase to get a Trump endorsement too. But I think out of the two conservative candidates, LaRock is going to be the stronger out of the both of them.
And again, like you said, President Trump is looking for America First candidates. Myself, as a political consultant, I'm recruiting America First candidates, people of the MAGA movement. And it's really important that we keep that agenda alive, because when President Trump's not our president anymore, he's relying on these senators, these congressmen, these delegates, these governors to continue his agenda, and we cannot go back. As Kamala Harris said, we cannot go back, even though her back is like, back to socialism, communism. We want to move forward to capitalism. We want to move forward to freedom. So if these Democrats get in, or these never Trumpers get in, or these rhinos get in, it's going to be a detriment to the country. And I bring up Maryland a lot because I do a lot of work here, but the people of Maryland rejected former Governor Larry Hogan as the senator. He's a huge rhino. So if the people rejected Larry Hogan for senator, why is he deciding or thinking about running for governor in 2 years against Wes Moore? It's craziness. It's complete craziness. But again, if we continue to push never Trumpers, rhinos into office, then president's agenda dies. So I believe that there's a reason why LaRock and Amanda Chase got in, because again, the president is looking for that America First person or persons. He wants people to continue to push his agenda forward, and a lot of your constituents, a lot of the voters, a lot of people in Virginia, they just don't feel that Winsome Sears backs and supports President Trump and his agenda. What say you about that?
Well, another thing that's concerning is that Winsome has hired a consultant who worked on Nikki Haley's campaign in
lovely.
2024. And, why? I mean, I just can't believe how her campaign manager or anyone else, political consultants, anyone else on the team would think that's a good idea. How are you going to win over the Trump MAGA supporters if you're going to bring in someone who wants to cater to the moderates? You need to cater to the Democrats, is what Nikki Haley did. And moving to the center is not going to win. And to comment further on giving aid with Virginia taxpayer dollars to former federal workers, most of those Democrats are not going to vote for Winsome Sears just because they get a temporary unemployment benefit package from the state of Virginia. They're going to vote for Abigail Spanberger. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a complete farce to think that something like that would ever work. And it's a waste of our taxpayer dollars even to do it in the first place. And Abigail, unfortunately, is a very strong candidate. She does, deceive a lot of the voters on the left, and even independents that say, "Well, I'm a moderate. I work across the aisle." And if you look at her congressional record, after she defeated Delegate Nick Freitas in the nomination in 2020, she's been voting with Nancy Pelosi through and through again. Anything Biden wanted, she voted for it. She is not a moderate. She's a radical leftist Marxist, pawning as a moderate.
Yeah, and speaking again of Democrats, as I said earlier in the segment, there were people there that President Trump honored. As you know, Lincoln Riley, he honored Jocelyn, DJ Daniels, Jason, the police officers, or the police officer who was murdered by a criminal. What do you think about not one single Democrat got up for every single person that President Trump honored? DJ Daniels, only one Democrat stood up for him. What do you think is the direction of the Democrat Party, and how can we as Republicans pounce on this opportunity to just remove every Democrat from office, as President Trump re-truthed today? Let's see you.
Well, during his address to Congress, Trump, he said at the beginning of his speech, shortly after the Sergeant Arms threw out one of the members of Congress for heckling the president, that you won't clap for anything. I mean, he could have a cure for cancer or a cure for AIDS. It doesn't matter. They're not going to clap for it because it's something that Trump did, and they want to stand against everything that Trump stands for. And that's really what the message the Democrats put and made very clear to the American public. And it's quite despicable what they did. It's a child who's fighting cancer and who's been appointed by our president to be in the Secret Service, a very substantial honor for someone of his age. I think everyone in that room should have been clapping. And I think it's an absolute disgrace that so many Democrats decided to sit down for him, for the family members of Laken Riley, and for the family of the Russian hostage that was released, and many other folks. That this should have been a unifying moment for America. And unfortunately, the Democrats played their hand. And this is going to be used in campaign commercials in 2026, hopefully beyond that, because we're going to remind the American people that the Democrats do not give a damn about cancer survivors, those who've been raped and killed by illegal immigrants, and those who've been rescued by Donald Trump's strong American first and peace through strength policies throughout the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And it's just, again, so disgusting. Like you brought up Congressman Al Green. He's standing up there screaming out lies, saying that President Trump wants to cut Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, which we know is not true. And then you have these evil squad members that are sitting on their butts holding up paddles that say Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, false, liar. Jasmine Crockett from Texas, a Democrat, she leaves in the middle of the speech to go on her freaking Facebook and just criticize the president. You got Bernie Sanders doing the same thing, Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer. Why, Philip, why do these Democrats continuously get reelected year after year after year? How can we do like a too big to rig against these senators and congressmen so that they don't get reelected?
It's been interesting ever since Donald Trump's gotten elected and ever since he's been sworn in. I've been listening to, Elizabeth Warren. I've been listening to Bernie Sanders. Of course, John Fetterman, who seems to have some voice of reason in some issues, but others not so much. He's pretty much a mixed bag after his stroke. I think he's
the real John Fetterman, please stand up.
That's right. He's getting some of his senses back, but he's still got a ways to go. Let's put it that way. But it's just funny because when I listen to Bernie Sanders, he says that, oh well, the Trump is supporting the billionaires and he is against the working class. He wants tax cuts for the rich, and all these cuts that Doge is implementing through Elon Musk and in his team of young engineers is phenomenal. What they want to do is they want to return some of that money to you, the taxpayer, in the form of a $5,000 check. And but the thing is, Bernie Sanders is still going to tout his horn and say, "Oh well, the money is just for the rich." No, this $5,000 for everybody. Bernie Sanders, you're dead wrong on this issue. But when we have more money that's returning to everyone's pockets by reducing the size of our government, I think this will help produce a landslide in 2026 for us to have a bigger majority in the House of Representatives and hopefully to even win even more Senate seats. Now, the trend is that usually in the second term, we've seen through President Bush and with other Republican presidents, they have a weaker second term. And I think with Trump, he can go against the tide as he has in many occasions. This is a very historical second term. I think he has a chance to increase the strength of the Republican Party, to increase the numbers of House Representatives, increase the numbers of the Senate. And I think Trump can do that with his agenda. And there's a lot of independents and even moderate Democrats who are coming on board with us. I mean, look at Robert Kennedy Jr., look at Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, these are former Democrats who saw the light.
Elon Musk.
In Elon Musk, that's right. He was a former Barack Obama supporter. He had donated money to his campaign in 2008, and I think even in 2012. But Elon Musk is all the rage now because the leftists, they don't care about the fact that he's selling cars that are electric powered, that they don't run on gasoline. You know, the new Green Deal doesn't really apply to them. They say, okay, we don't care about that part of him anymore. The fact that he's helping Donald Trump, now we hate him, even though he's quote unquote helping the planet with his vehicles.
Craziness. And also Elon Musk was responsible for Joe Rogan endorsing President Trump at the very end, which I feel really, really helped President Trump get that threshold, because Joe Rogan has millions and millions and millions of followers on his show. And it was very important that Joe Rogan did that endorsement. And Elon Musk kind of explained to him why he endorsed Donald Trump, why we need Donald Trump, how we can't have Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. And Joe Rogan just turned a new leaf, and he's like, I'm going to endorse President Trump. And it made a huge difference. It made a huge difference. And I'm seeing the trend of a lot of Democrats that are starting to vote Republican, a lot of Democrats switching parties to Republican. That's what I work on every day. And we need to keep that momentum going. And if it doesn't happen, then there will be a turnover of power. But I agree with you that we, the people, we don't want a turnover of power. We saw the turnover of power with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We saw how they ruined this nation and how we all lost our jobs, how inflation increased, and how the groceries are so high, we can't afford our groceries. And now we're going to start to see the Trump tax cuts, the Trump effect again. He's going to extend the Trump tax cuts past December 2025. And we're going to start to see those gas prices go down. We've already started to feel them. We're starting to see the grocery bills go down. Everyone's like, oh, the cost of eggs hasn't gone down yet. They will go down. Just hold on. Just hold a minute. They're going down. And he's getting rid of all of these illegals, like he said. And what President Trump said is, my first 2 years are not important. It's my first 100 days. That's what everybody's going to be looking at, the first 100 days. So that's why he's throwing in all these executive orders. He's signing Lincoln-Riley Act. He's doing all these things right in the get-go, first and foremost. And he's doing them in a fast pace because he knows he has so much time. And he knows if he doesn't get all of this done, then the Democrats are just going to try to hit him with this and swing him with this and impeach him with this and get him with this. And God forbid we have Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. Me personally, I would leave the country if Hakeem Jeffries became our speaker. Oh my God, he's just disgusting, anti-Semite, not qualified, a DEI hire. I mean, that's what he is. He's a DEI hire, just like Barack Hussein Obama was a DEI hire. People forget that. All these people, DEI hires that came out of nowhere. And that's why it's very important that we keep the momentum, that we keep the MAGA movement going forward. We keep the America First agenda going forward. So we just have a couple minutes, Phil. So tell my audience how we can find you. And I always ask every person that comes on my show that was running for office, are you planning on running for state Senate like you did 2 years ago?
Yes, I absolutely am. I'll be running against Senator Creek Deeds in Senate District 11. I was honored to have you as my political consultant for my 2023 race. Woo! I was happy to have you come over for my fundraiser in Charlottesville, so that was really awesome. And yes, we are going to take the fight to Deeds again. And, we picked up 3,000 votes during the last race from the last Republican that ran in 2019, so we can only do better in 2027. And you can go to my Facebook page, Hamilton for Virginia Senate. I'm relaunching my Senate campaign website, which should be hamiltonforvasenate.com later this year. But we're ready to get the ball moving on that campaign. And there's one thing I did want to leave your audience with is actually Scott Pressler, who was very instrumental in flipping Pennsylvania. I met him when I was 19 years old. We both went to Mason University together. And so we go way, way back. And I was actually with his father, Rob Pressler, at the Fairfax Patriots event a month before Election Day, But I was really honored to see Scott Pressler with President Donald Trump early this month in the Oval Office. So go, Scott. Keep on doing great things. I hope you enjoyed your time in the Oval Office, and let's hope that you can flip New Jersey and other states in 2025, 2026, and beyond.
I agree with you. I mean, if it wasn't for, people like Scott Pressler and many others, the Democrats probably would have won. And we need more people like that. We need to, again, start recruiting people to flip parties or just to register Republican. People that never voted before voted for President Trump in 2016, and people that voted Democrat in 2016, they didn't vote Democrat in 2024. So it's very important that we keep that momentum going, that we recruit proper candidates. I can vouch for you that you are one of the most America First people out there, that I know that you push the President Trump's agenda. I know you support him wholeheartedly, and you would be perfect in the state Senate. And I hope that President Trump takes a look at you, and I hope that he sees that you are the right person that he needs leading the state Senate in Virginia. And God bless to you, and looking forward to seeing you throughout your campaign. And I pray that you get in. I really do. You deserve it.
Thank you, and God bless you, and appreciate you having me on this evening.
Thank you so much. Well, that's Philip Hamilton again. He's the secretary of the Albemarle County Republican Committee. He's also the author of Hamilton Legal Services, LLC. That is his handle, Hamilton for Virginia Senate, on Facebook. And he also has Twitter. It's at Hamilton for VA. Is that correct? On X? Did I get that right? Okay, awesome. Great. We're also, the last couple minutes, we're going to focus on my very good friend. She's having an event March 21st at Bowman's. And we'll phase Philip out, and then we'll put, or we can do that too. Kimberly Stansberry for county executive. She's running for Baltimore County executive as a Republican. She ran a couple years ago, and she's running again. And her event is in Baltimore County, March 21st, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Bowman's Restaurant, 9306 Hartford Road. It's $60 for dinner, and that is the QR code. You can also personally go to her website, elect@kimstansberry.org. That's elect@kimstansberry.org. If you do not live in her state or in her district or in her county, you can still donate to her on her website. I'm a resident from the state of Florida. I've donated to Kim. I've donated to Tim. I've donated to Philip Hamilton. I donate to people outside of my state, outside of my district, outside of my county. And guess what? You can do it too. So if you don't live in Baltimore County, but you want an America First candidate in office, donate to Kim Stansberry. If you are in Baltimore County, I encourage everybody to go to this event. If for some reason you cannot attend, still go and use the QR code and pay for this event, or go on her website, elect@kimstansberry.org, and make a donation. And don't make, and try to, if you made a $10 donation a month ago, try making a $30 donation. If you made a $60 donation, try making a $100 donation. We want to double and triple the value of these donations, because these hardcore America First, MAGA movement candidates, people that support President Trump and his agenda, they need the money more so than these Democrats. So please, if you donated $10 last month, donate $30 next month. If you donated $60 last month, donate $100 next month. Each month, you want to try to triple, again, double and triple the value. The more money that goes into these candidates, the more they will get into office. Because I'm not afraid to ask people for money. But you guys know that when you run for office, you need money. And the people that are running for office, they need money. The constituents know that they need money. So please do everything you can. Again, whether you're in Baltimore County, outside of Baltimore County, please donate to Kimberly Stansberry today. Again, she's running for Baltimore County executive. It's an open seat right now. They had a Democrat who is now the congressman. He's horrible. He's the one that pushed for Section 8 housing and harvesting illegals in these Section 8 housing. He's the one that also did not vote for the Lincoln-Riley Act. He was your former Baltimore County executive. You don't want that same kind of stuff being your next Baltimore County executive. You want a Republican there. You want someone who cares about the constituents. And Kim Stansberry is great at crossing the aisle and talking to Democrats and talking to independents and getting them to vote for her. And she's a wonderful person. She's a smart woman. She understands the role of the job. She was born for this job. So it's time for the people of Baltimore County to give this woman a chance It's time for the women in Baltimore, or the people of Baltimore County and the women in Baltimore County to give this woman a chance, but also to put a real person in office, not someone that is bought and paid for, someone that actually cares about the people, will stand by the constituents, will listen to the constituents, and will fight for her constituents and for the entire constituency of Baltimore County. And she also talks to people in Baltimore City. She's gone to Howard County, Hartford County, Washington County. She's gone to multiple counties outside. So she is staying local, but she's also willing to go outside the aisle and talk to other people as well. But again, Kimberly Stansberry for Baltimore County Executive. Again, her event is March 21st from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Bowmans. We will continue to promote her event even up to the day of the election. And America's Pulse Network, I will be emceeing the entire event, and we will be going live, and we will be recording the event so you guys can see how that event is going. And it'll be a great event, and it will be a sold out full house. So please get your tickets now. It is selling out very quickly. Well, this has been a very interesting 2 hours, a great 2 hours. We covered a lot about President Trump's speech. Thank God that we were able to get our guest, Philip Hamilton, on. I just want to say he had technical problems on his end. And again, we do try to work out those kinks before our guests come on. Sometimes it happens well, sometimes it doesn't. But we still continue on. But we thank everybody for staying on with our network. We thank everybody for coming on our network. Again, I'm Alexandra Levine Live. Again, Tuesday night, we had such a great show. We had thousands and thousands of viewers. We had 20,000 people that retweeted our America's Pulse Live oh my God, X. I keep calling it Twitter, but it's really X. Elon Musk. I'm just going to call it Elon Musk. We also have a Rumble channel at America's Pulse Live at Rumble. Also at America's Pulse Live on True Social, at America's Plus Live on Facebook, and at America's Pulse Live on YouTube. You can also follow me, Alexandra Levine, on Facebook, at Alexandra, LEVI20, on X, Elon Musk, at ARLevine85 on Instagram, at AirLevine85 on Rumble, and at Levine Consulting on YouTube. And again, the reason you listen and the reason you watch is you are no idiot.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Levine. I'm a professional opera singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Elena, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.